Hi, it's Martin here, and in this video, I'll be showing you the best way to conduct job interviews in 2026. Most practices out there are constrained to old and outdated strategies that waste time, decrease candidate experience, and affect hiring performance. But in today's video, I'll be showing you the new way of hiring in 2026, and why this change is so crucial for your practice's hiring success. But if this is the first video you've seen by me, my name is Oliver Martin. I'm a recruiter who helps practice owners hire PTs, OTs, and SLPs. And my number one goal is to escape the corporate recruiting realm and provide you real human-like value that actually works. Well, that is a quick intro. I'm really excited for this one. Let's get into the video. So before we dive deep into the best way to conduct job interviews in 2026, I did want to quickly emphasize on the importance of doing the wrong thing and how it could really affect your practice in the long term. So a few interviewing strategies that I see in the industry right now and in the past few years that I consider outdated, they need work, they're not working anymore, they're no longer effective, would be stuff like in-person candidate interviews where you're just having them come to the clinic. Maybe you're going to a cafe, meeting them there, and just having standard conversations with them, just simple questions, nothing hard, nothing crazy. Or just interviews that have unstructured questions and systems where you're not measuring anything, nothing's actually being tracked, it's more just a bias thing, and you've already made your mind up within the first, let's say, 15 seconds of whether you really like this candidate or not. These are outdated strategies, and you're gonna get outdated results, which is not effective, right? So stuff like in-person interviews, it can work, but you need some qualifications prior to having that started, because your time as a practice owner is valuable. So having them just come to the clinic every 30 minutes, a new candidate, it affects their time, but it also affects your time as well. And you got to actually balance out and really filter through the best ones out there before actually taking your time to really interview them, have them come to your clinic, offer them whatnot, and basically just incentivize them whatever you'd like, which by having them come to your practice and meeting up with them, you need to have a filtering process in place prior, so you're not wasting your time in standard in-person job interviews, maybe over the cafe with unfiltered processes and questions, because as you can see, the results are quite lackluster. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly emphasize that. The main strategies, outdated strategies that I've been seeing, likely you're one of them. You've probably been applying one of them in the past or right now. Don't worry about it. It's very, very common. That is the point of today's video. I'm going to be showing you the best way to conduct job interviews for 2026. It's very unique. You're going to love it. So you're probably wondering, what is the best way to conduct job interviews in 2026? Well, look no further than Zoom interviews, right? You may be familiar with this, you may have heard of this before, you may have even conducted one yourself in the past, but this is the best way to conduct job interviews in 2026. And there are many benefits to this. I've seen no negatives whatsoever to this. And this is the new way, I think, moving forward. This is how hiring managers, practice owners, HR related team members are going to be conducting interviews in the future. That is my prediction. I think it is very, very effective. We're going to go over the benefits and why you need to be doing this over at your practice, but it is Zoom interviews. Zoom interviews is the future. This is where essentially you would be with a clinician over a preferably 45 1-hour Zoom call meeting. You would ask them structured questions in a structured manner in a system where they will have answers and you can assess on the results. It is a very, very smart way. It is a very, very neat secret. I would say it's a secret. I mean, it's not very common. It's a very uncommon technique. It's the very up and coming. This isn't no flashy trend. This is the new way to hire and conduct interviews, right? So we're going to get into a few of the benefits, and really there's no negatives whatsoever. When I was creating this video, I was putting together some benefits, and I really couldn't even think of a single negative or a drawback, maybe other than setting up Zoom. Even then, it's super easy. I don't even think you need an account. You could just have a guest account. So we're going to discuss why you need to have a Zoom meeting or Zoom interviews over at your practice in your interviewing process, right? So obviously you're going to be working remote here with these interviews. So you're going to instantly be saving the candidates time having to commute or come to the clinic to actually meet up with you. You're going to save them likely pressure as well. So they're not going to have the same pressure of having to walk in, talk to the receptionist, talk to maybe other providers in your practice, other team members later that day. They're going to have less stress, and they're going to ultimately be able to, elaborate more, more ideas. They're going to be more talkative. They're going to give you more information, so you can ultimately have a better assessment of what they're like, and it will help you with your filtering later on. So candidate experience is definitely huge. You save them time, you increase their satisfaction, you reduce the risks and pressure that they face. So you are ultimately increasing their satisfaction and increase their experience. So that is the number one main benefit. That is one of the big benefits. Another big benefit is it's very efficient, it's convenient, and it works for both parties. So say maybe they're away, or maybe you're away, maybe you're on business, or maybe you're on vacation. You can conduct these wherever in the world. You just invite them, you send them the email link, and you get going, right? You schedule a time and you guys can just connect. You can ask these questions, you can have a script, your interviewing script, as you should have, and you can connect with them across the world, right? Maybe you're in Poland, maybe you're in England, maybe you're in Spain, maybe you're in Mexico, maybe you're in Russia. It doesn't matter, but yeah, it's very convenient and it will save you lots of time. It'll also increase availability for both parties, so you can get the interviews done as possible to reduce any candidates no showing. So the convenience is definitely a huge part, right? And, with Zoom meetings, right, you would likely have to, if you're really going to be committed and you want to really have a sustainable plan in place, you might want to be paying the $30 a month Zoom, expense there, just so you can have interviews that, are comfortably going over an hour just in case. Although I do not recommend going over an hour for interviews, but it'd be nice to have some security in place, and you get all sorts of different benefits and perks with that as well, right? But you don't actually need to pay anything if you're just on the free plan and it's only going to take 30 to 45 minutes. That is another benefit. It's very, very, very uncostly, right? It's very very low, very low risk, very free. I wouldn't even say there is a risk, but it's very very nice and convenient. You can just download it, hop on an account. I think you can even be on a guest, but correct me if I'm wrong. And it is very, very effective. So these are some of the main benefits, right? It goes much more than that, but just coming to mind now, convenience, candidate experience, reducing time, and I just think it's awesome. It's such a low leverage, it works just so well, and I think it's very professional. I think it's gonna be the new thing. I think it's awesome. So now we're gonna get into really why you should, conduct these interviews and the real way to do it, right? I'm gonna hop on my computer now. I'm gonna show you exactly the best way to do it, the best strategies around how to conduct these Zoom interviews so you can conduct it over at your practice. So we are on Miro now. We are on the board here. I've put together a few little pieces just to help me kind of solidify and really emphasize clearly on the most efficient way to really ultimately conduct these Zoom interviews over at your practice. I can tell you, if you apply these strategies, these exact methods and formulas, whatever you like to call it, for your practice, for your Zoom interviews, you're going to crush it, and you're going to get candidates coming in no time, moving through the stages. You're going to be getting less no-shows, and it's just going to be much better for you. So pay attention. This is going to be awesome here. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So for formats here, I like to put formats. We are going to put here, you're going to want to ensure you have a camera on, right? You're going to need their camera on. You're going to need your camera on. You don't want to be just talking to a screen. It's important you both have your cameras on. It's also very important that you have a good microphone. Doesn't really matter about them, obviously, because they're just a PT, OT, or SLP, right? They're provider. They're not even the ones who are actually, asking for this Zoom interview or setting it up. So it doesn't really matter whether they have a good mic or not, right? It just matters that you have a good, mic, so that they're able to hear you clearly. It comes across as more professional. You're also going to want to have good, audio. So You're going to want to ensure that you can hear them clearly. So I'm going to just put in brackets here like speakers. I don't know if you're going to have headphones on or AirPods or whatnot, but you do certainly want to make sure you can actually hear them as well, you know, because that would be pretty bad if you can, right? So now we're going to also put here is, you know, good dressing. So this is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think you're gonna have to worry about this, but just make sure you're dressed something nice and formal, but not too formal. You don't want to, you know, pull up in a tuxedo, but you also don't want to wear like, you know, pajamas or, you know, just a t-shirt or something. You want to make it, you know, preferably maybe a dress shirt or a collared shirt, a nice collared shirt or dress shirt. That would look pretty nice. But yeah, just make sure you have some good dressing on, and it is, you know, nothing too formal, nothing too informal, right? So we're gonna go to questions now, and this is kind of personal to your practice, what you'd like to, you know, what you like to say. And I have a template on this. Just let me know in the comments below if you'd like it. You can also just reach out to me on LinkedIn at Oliver Martin. You should find it there. But I also have it, shameless plug here, but I help my clients also with they're interviewing. I have templates that work and are proven for my clients and help them hire the next PT, OT, or SLP in 60 days. But we're going to keep it simple here. We're just going to add a few, you know, common ones. So you should be asking some scenario-based questions. This is going to help with, you know, values, skills, traits, you know, qualifications to ensure they're aligned with yours at your practice. If you don't know what a scenario-based question is, let me give you an example. What would you do if another clinician on your team was refusing to help treatment with a patient? What would you do, right? It's stuff like that. You put these together, it'd be pretty creative. You can be quite creative with that, right? So scenario based, definitely want to do that, as well as open-ended questions. So you want to make sure you're asking some open-ended questions, no yes, no answers, because you're not really going to get into the, you know, I don't even know the word for it, but you're not going to get enough info and clarity from just yes, no questions. There's no, there's no authority or transparency with that. It's really just based off of me, him, you know, yes, no kind of thing, and it doesn't really work well. Last thing I'm going to put here is just a structure. You want to ensure you have an actual structure, you know, of questions in place. You ask the same candidate, each candidate, the same amount of questions according to their, you know, just according to your, you know, your traits, values, skills that you're looking for, right? You want to ensure that you are keeping everything consistent so you can track performance and ensure everything is sustainable. It can be iterated upon time, and it is ultimately set for success. So that is questions for you. Scenario, open-ended, and a structure / system in place. Don't mind my writing here. So for time now, this is how long these are going to last. It is, as I said before, I highly recommend doing 45 minutes to 1 hour. And I would not go anywhere under, or I would not go anywhere over an hour, right? I would never go anywhere over an hour because I think it's too long. I think at that point you should have asked enough questions by then. I would say though, even if you're hitting it off with the candidate, that doesn't mean they're a good fit, right? Just because you're hitting it off with them, you have a good feeling about them, doesn't mean they're a good fit. So if you do go over an hour, don't just take that as like extremely good news. It is obviously great to get along with them. You want to get along with them. You're going to be working with them if you choose to hire that candidate. But don't, you know, mistake this. If you go over, don't just assume they're going to be perfect for me. Even if they didn't do well on some of the questions, but you're hitting it off, doesn't mean anything. Just pay attention. But yeah, so 1 hour max, stick to around 45-minute range, and you should be good. So for the source, this is quite simple here. You're going to have a link, right? You're going to get a link for when you create the meeting, or you should be scheduling the meeting. And then you're going to have a source that you're in contact with the candidate. So that might either be phone, so I'm going to put SMS, which is just text. It might be WhatsApp, so I'm just going to put WA. But it's most commonly going to be email, and this is where you would, I'll just put Gmail there. This is where you would be sending them the email or the link to the Zoom meeting. So it's most likely going to be email, and this is where you're going to be sending them the meeting link with the details there. They're going to join in usually through their email because it all links nicely, and it works best like that, right? So we're going to be quickly just going over the stages and how this would work in a general hiring process, right? I'm going to go into this in a future video of all the stages of the hiring process and how basically just the map to success of, hiring. But for this sake of this video, this is how the stages would essentially work, right? So you're going to have the interview. As I said, I'd go over previous stages in other videos, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep it simple. So you're going to have the interview, and I'm assuming this would be either through screening, this would be through your job ad, and it could also just be through inbound. So just some sort of little qualification beforehand. If you're not aware, inbound is like, website, job applications, that kind of stuff, right? And like landing page, which is basically the same as a website, just a little bit different. So this would be the first stage. You got the interview here. So this is where we're at. This is where you're gonna be conducting the Zoom meeting, right? Then you're going to have, and this is the optional part, you're gonna have two choices here. You're gonna have the option to do a HS assessment, which is a hard skills clinical assessment. This is where you're going to finally bring them into the clinic, and this is where you're going to be asking them more questions. Again, I have templates on all of this if you need it. Just book a call with us below. We'll see if we're going to be a good fit. So this would be if they qualify from this interview, then you're going to bring them to an actual in-person skills assessment where they're going to be coming into the clinic, and you're going to be evaluating real clinical like fit, with their clinical skills. But then we are going to have a secondary, I'm going to just call it a follow-up Zoom, where if you're unsure about them, you can ask them final questions before having them come into the clinic. This is to ensure that you have all you need to know about this candidate before making a verdict or, a decision to move them on in your hiring process, just so you have the confidence without having to waste, your time, their time having them come in, just so you can finalize some of the logistics there. But 99% of the time, it's going to just be this, right? You're going to go right to the skills assessment if they pass there. Now, if you get to the third stage, now this would obviously either be the skills assessment if you're doing a follow-up through Zoom, but the third stage should be the job offer. And the job offer is what you would say is the final stage before actually hiring. There is also pre-boarding and onboarding, but that's for another video. That's for another day. For the sake of hiring, the job offer is the final stage, and this typically happens in the skills assessment. Now, if you are smart, you would set up a job offer or the offer letter before your skills assessments with the remainder of the candidates, so that if you really like the look of this candidate, there's no need after this skills assessment to think no further. You should know by now. You've had 2 opportunities to talk to them, and now you've seen them in the clinic. You know what they're like. Now you should have had a job letter or offer letter prepared in advance just in case, so that you guys can discuss it and negotiate in person. Mind if I spell that wrong? Rather than through email. And you don't want to do it through email. That is the number one way to really screw yourself, because emailing, you're gonna have to do the back and forth. You're gonna get late responses. They kind of have the advantage there because they might be talking to other people. You want to get them in person. In person is the way to really get this finalized and done. You can email them it in person. You can have it printed and they can just sign it there. And you can, you would use like maybe e-signature. That's a good platform for that. But yeah, you primarily want to have them do it in person because you can negotiate there. You can discuss final logistics, and you can really just get to the bottom of everything, have a final verdict there, rather than having them, go back and forth with you over email, because there they kind of have the high ground, right? So yeah, you really want to get them to the final stage here. And in this skills assessment, you really want to negotiate there, right? And you want it to be in person. Otherwise, sometimes they might need extra time. They might just say that, really try and push. But if they really don't want to make a decision in person, then just you should email them with a deadline, right? But enough of getting off topic there. That is how you conduct a Zoom meeting. You have a good camera, good mic, good audio, you're well dressed. You're asking scenario, open-ended, structured, system-based questions in a nice linear chained system where you can track, iterate upon results, and ultimately filter through the best clinicians there. Keeping it 45 minutes to an hour max, as well as sending them the link through email. Typically email, might be text, but it's very well likely going to be email. Then you're going to have them interviewed. You're going to pass them on to a skills assessment where then they'll finally meet with you in the clinic for the first time. Then you will have them sign the job offer, negotiate with them then. That is how you hire, right? That is the blueprint to hiring. That is what we do here. That is how you hire, right? So I'm just going to write that here. That is it. I mean, that is the best way to do it with Zoom interviews. That's what the best practices I've been doing. If you need more assistance with this, you can book a call with me and my team below. I'm happy to help you out. But that is a summary of today's video. I hope it was really helpful. I hope this is the new way you're going to look into and at least try over your practice. Again, shameless plug, I have a funnel down below. I'm going to try to sell you something and how to hire for your practice, how we can do it. The whole process is handled on your behalf, completely handled on your behalf. We do it all for you with a 60-day free replacement guarantee in there, just to ensure we find you the right clinician out there, just to show how confident we are, so you can ultimately achieve the financial time, location, and freedom, all that good jazz as a practice owner, and get back to ultimately hiring again in 60 days or you don't pay. But that's about it. Please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video. All that good stuff, comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.